Hey everybody, this is another edition of Digital Marketing FAQs. Thanks for submitting the questions. This one says, should I worry about duplicate content? That's a very, very important question. It crosses the minds of a lot of marketers, especially if you're in an e-commerce space or you create a lot of blog content or you have press releases or anything like that on your website. Maybe you're syndicating content on your website from other sites, right? That you don't really compose the content. It just gets uploaded every day, kind of like news in your industry. A lot of this can cause issues in Google, especially if you're trying to rank your website for highly competitive terms. Duplicate content can cause issues, and that's why this question is very popular that we see all the time. We answer this question quite a lot. So I'm gonna try to break this down for you, so let's roll. All right, so in order to help you answer this duplicate content concern, I want to kind of walk you through a couple of different scenarios and give you the pros and the cons so that you understand what's acceptable, what's possible, what you can do and what you shouldn't really try to do, and where you can get yourself in trouble, okay? So the first thing is, again, a lot of people have syndicated content. So if you look at the syndicated content, this is where, again, you're part of an industry, maybe association, and they produce a lot of content that you don't have time to create. Maybe you're curating content and you're just sort of reposting it onto your website because you feel like you need to create content. This is not a bad idea, but a lot of people do it. And in the beginning, just out of, again, just Google crawling your website, if it sees that it's the same content as another site, it doesn't just go ahead and penalize you, just so you know. It doesn't just penalize you because there's a lot of websites like press releases. They get syndicated across many sites, exact same content, exact information from top to bottom. It doesn't help you, it doesn't hurt you, but Google's really only concerned about who is the original source of the content. That's what Google's really after, because just because it's on your site, it may not rank, right? So just for a user to go and see, that's it. Google's really concerned about the origination of the content. By default, like, it doesn't matter that there's a lot of content on your website from other syndicated sources. In fact, if you were to do it yourself, syndicate content across multiple sites in order to not have to create content, that's fine, as long as later on we'll talk about rel equals canonical. If you let Google know what is the original source, you're fine. Cool? So that gets you out of trouble. You don't have to worry about that. The second kind of duplicate content that people always ask is, well, there's spammy duplicate content, sort of spun content. They're not really original. It sounds like other websites that are on the internet. Can that get me in trouble? Again, this is why I said this are all scenarios. And this is a no-no. This is what people should avoid at all costs. Anything that looks remotely spammy, you're creating multiple websites or have 500 different websites. I've seen people with multiple websites, they all look the same, and you're trying to create maybe a website per city that you sell in, and you don't need a website per city, first of all, because you're trying to actually build authority for so many little microsites. And so it looks like a big spammy sort of an SEO campaign. That is not going to help you. First of all, it's not going to rank anyway. You want to build authority for a few domain names. You don't want to try to, you don't want to try to build 100 websites because the domain name is available. Throw a website together, but you don't have time to create content, so you just kind of copy the content from other websites or your own websites. You get into this situation. This is not good. I say avoid it at all costs. This can get you into trouble. Now I want to talk a little bit more about other kind of situations where duplicate content gets in the way is when you actually want to put the content on another website. In order to tell Google what the original content is, you can actually use rel equals canonical. You don't want to go too much into this. This has been blogged about and everything, so you can just Google rel equals canonical. But this is the preferred way for Google to know the site that you're putting the content on, it is not the original source. It's actually originating from another source, right? You just kind of give this particular tag in your HTML, that will let Google know what it needs to know to do what it needs to do with the actual content or the page. So this is completely acceptable. Use this practice when you actually have to put it on multiple websites or anything like that. Huge part. Tell your consultant or whoever you're working with internally to make sure they use this practice anytime that you're having this. Another thing that you can do is sort of repurpose the content, right? Because you have you kind of are in the same space. You want to use the same services. Let's say you had 5 websites or 10 websites that you built, microsites or landing pages, whatever you want to call it. You want them all to rank, but what is the right way of doing it, right? How do I actually do it? I don't want to create full-blown, custom content. That would be the best way. But can I repurpose the content? Yes, repurpose as much of it as possible with as much unique content in it so that it's not identical, right? Identical content can get you into trouble in the future when you actually try to manipulate the search results, which is my last part. What Google is really after and why this is such a big deal is that this is what Google is worried about, all right? This is okay, but this is what Google's worried about. Are you doing all this stuff to manipulate search results so that you can get your site ranked and indexed and whatever else, build authority really quick? You didn't spend any time, actually adding any value. You're just spamming your way through it. That's what Google's really after. This is what you need to be concerned about. Are you doing this for the purpose of just building value and creating something that's unique for the visitor? Maybe you're using it solely for the purpose of doing Google Ads, so you know that you're not trying to optimize it for SEO. But if you're really trying to do it for rankings, but you don't want to take the time to actually build out a site, outreach and build, get nice high quality directory links and build a social following, you want to skip all that and sort of just manipulate search results. This is what Google hates. This is what all the content that they create on search, webmaster blog that they have is about protecting Google from having all this garbage, stuff getting ranked and people believing things that they shouldn't be believing or even going there. They're looking for the quality and the freshness of the content, and they reward the best result. That's what Google's after. Google couldn't care less if you have syndicated content. Google hates spammy content. If you tell Google where to go, get it, that's fantastic. And if you could repurpose the content, recreate as much as possible, and not have a duplicate scenario, you're in the best, long-term SEO success. So I hope this video answered your question about duplicate content. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of people talking about different things. People say it doesn't matter. Some people say it does matter. But the fact of the matter is you should look at what scenario that you are in so that you can do what's best for your business long term. So thanks a lot for asking the question. As always, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment. We'll love to answer your question in the future. Thanks for watching.